Hey ladies and gentlemen, Mr. T here as always. Now here's the thing, so I'm at school, as you can probably tell. America, does Wyoming even exist? No, sorry, if you're in Wyoming watching this, I love your state. I've never actually been, but I hope to go one day, hit all 50. Now here's the thing, here's another episode of Mobile America, and I decided, you know what should I go through? Well, I asked some of my students, what do you want to see? Because I have a lot of students in taking US history, and some of them are like, oh, talk about the 1800s, because, well, it's October and they're talking about the 1800s. So I figured I'd do a little mini series on several topics in the 1800s, and the first one I thought of was Manifest Destiny. So today's episode's on Manifest Destiny. So quick little recap. Manifest Destiny, or quick little recap about America. So America declared its independence in 1776, got it in 1783. George Washington, John Adams came in, great presidents, but they didn't expand the country. Thomas Jefferson then comes in, okay? He buys something called the Louisiana Purchase, and I'll talk about that in a later episode. Well, the thing is, Louisiana Purchase doubled the size of the United States, okay? Literally doubled the size of it. Well, now we have all this new land. We don't even know what to do with half of the land we already had. So the United States is like, what do we do? Well, this idea of let's move west. Let's leave the 13 original colonies from Georgia up to, Maine, which at the time is technically part of Massachusetts. Let's leave these states and let's start pushing west. And it becomes a massive, just soar across the nation. Thousands of people are moving. And this isn't even the biggest Western migration to come. We'll have an even bigger one after the Civil War. Well, the thing is, people start moving west, and we start moving further and further and further. We start to, dig up the old lands and, plant new ideas and new ways of life. And the thing is, Native Americans are also being moved. Well, as time goes on, some Americans start thinking, well, this is our way of bringing a new world or a new way to this world. And some Americans even went as far as to think that it was inevitable that America was going to sweep across the nation. It was inevitable that America would expand across this brand new continent. Because remember, even if you count Native Americans, some of the oldest civilizations in the Americas were still babies compared to some of the old world, like Egypt and China, right? So the new world, the Americas, North and South America, are still relatively young, even if you count the Native Americans. But some of the early United States Americans don't. So they see this as we need to bring order and justice, and it's our God-given right to expand west. Well, the things get even more heated because in 1945, we annex this tiny little state called Texas. Texas becomes, I think, our 28th state. I could be wrong on that number. I'll find it later. But we annex Texas, and then that causes a war with Mexico. I'll get into that in another video. But now we go to Mexico, and we beat Mexico in less than 2 years, and we get the entire Southwest. So in the course of 40 years, we quadruple the size of the United States. We did in 40 years what some countries couldn't do in 1,000 years. And now we're like, our idea of a God-given right to move west is coming true, and it just kept reinforcing these ideas. So Manifest Destiny was Americans felt it was our God-given right to move westward from the original 13 states to California and Arizona and Oregon, Washington states, and the Pacific Ocean. And the thing is, a lot of Americans at the time agreed with this. They're like, yeah, everything's going in our favor. We're pushing west. We're gaining land. We're bringing civilization. The problem is some Americans, like Abraham Lincoln and even Frederick Douglass, they didn't like this concept because it took America and it made us think like, well, we're imperialistic. We're becoming the very thing we tried to get rid of. And that's Britain and colonization and stuff, right? So in the end of the story is, whether we agree with it or not, America did expand westward. We left the 13 original colonies. We pushed, past the Mississippi, past the Louisiana Purchase, into the Mexican territory, into the, Oregon territory, and we eventually made it from sea to shining sea. Okay? So that's pretty much Manifest Destiny. It's this idea that America had this God-given right to expand westward and bring civilization to the Wild West, or to the western part of the continent. And whether you agree that's what it should have been or not, that's what happened. Every time America tried to expand west, We succeeded, and that's where the term manifest destiny came from. So I hope you liked the video. Stay tuned. I have other videos about the 1800s, like the Mexican-American War, Texas, the Austin Rebellion, even though technically speaking that's not American history, technically speaking. But yeah, so stay tuned, and as always, Americans, stay beautiful. Peace.